how many times did I scream in text? Legal lad, get me legal. Harry Litman. Oh, hi. Oh, hi, fine American. America can rest easy from down the 5 in
Yes,
San
ma'am.
Diego.
Legal here.
Hello, legal lad.
Uh,
I'm telling you, Harry, I'm sure you were watching, and same things we were, that are serious people that said, take this seriously. This is a lawless president and party that will go to any length, and that there is not a zero chance he could get enough states to throw their electors to him. And then by last night, Neil Katyal is like, this is nonsense and this is not going to happen. It's too many votes and it's too many states. Where do you come down, Harry?
Oh, I've been pretty solid on record for 2 weeks. No way, no way, no friggin' way. But
And friggin' a legal term, I assume. Friggin'.
Yeah, no, to frig. It's the old British thing where they take you from one side of the boat to the other. But here's the thing. I've had so many anxious calls, appearances before meetings with engaged, sophisticated, the heart of our democracy, right? Real, people who you want to be completely in tune with things, and to a person, they're jumpy. They're thinking somehow the frigger can do it, and that's so noxious for the democracy to have. That means we're already sort of halfway to Hungary or something like that, and it would be the end of the democracy were he to do it. And then there's the other side, his supporters, who are going to be buoyed in the idea that it was somehow stolen from them. So this petulant child, I'm again struck by the anger I have for Fred Trump not to have kicked the shit out of this kid.
All right, Harry, can't say that. Can't say that.
And all the harm that was visited on the country as a result. But you have, it's not so funny. You have really current and ongoing harm to the democracy because of this phony coup. Yeah. But anyway, you can look me up, Neil Katyal. I say are second to no pundit in saying for a while back, no way, forget about it.
Well, you were talking about, this is, what's her name? Sidney Powell said, we will not be intimidated. We're going to clean this mess up now. President Trump won by...
Did you see Aaron Blake's column this morning?
And who?
Aaron Blake?
Aaron Blake from the Washington Post.
No, I did not.
I shouldn't have interjected. Go ahead. I've got a good punchline for you.
Right. Okay. President Trump won by a landslide. We are going to prove it, and we are going to reclaim the United States of America for the people who vote for freedom. And you just said this grotesquely false, inane screed is not just by someone who happens to have proximity to power. It's the actual ticket to proximity to power in the United States right now. These three are these three below the Rudy and her are the closest advisors to POTUS. What if they counsel are wagging the dog? What did you mean by that?
What won't they do? They'll lie baldly. And by the way, they're all lawyers: Jenna Ellis, Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell. They have, in fact, it's an ethical violation to be deceptive or misleading in public like that. But what won't they do? These are not people who have any sense of national security, fairness, equality, etc. What won't they pull? Wagging the dog, some kind of phony national security story. But here's the punchline from Aaron Blake. Her big Jeremiah ad about Michigan, turns out it's based on Minnesota data. Literally. She stood there and
Sidney
she was
Powell?
citing Sidney Powell yesterday. Little glitch. Minnesota data.
What a clown show. What an absolute clown show.
Wow.
But as you said, actual consequences to lying in court. So not only is Team Trump divided from the rest of the country in what it claims, it's divided from its own lawyers. You're right. Anybody serious has long ago left. This is, and
Giuliani was the fourth group in Pennsylvania. And, you stand up and a judge looks at you and says, tell me, Travis, is this or is it not fraud? And you have no evidence and you have nothing. You say yes. You're looking at contempt. So then you say, you're forced to say the fact, which is we're not alleging fraud.
Right.
And then cut to this alternative reality that they're trying to impose on the whole country. Cut to Sidney Powell. I mean, it would be a kind of a good low black comedy in a way, but it is the country, and it's not going to just it's not going to just pass January 20th.
Yeah.
There are ongoing consequences to our democratic culture, especially since he may want to stick around, and it'll get stronger and stronger. This is the new no collusion. And no collusion, no obstruction will be won by a landslide.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, and you're right. It's this clown show with the hair dye running down Giuliani's face. You're right. Both pathetic and hilarious, and also deeply infuriating, which caused you to drop
it's our country here.
Yes.
By the way,
which caused you to drop an F-bomb or an S-bomb, which may lose me my radio show. So thank you for that. Thank you for your passion.
7 words. Oh no, those are the ones you couldn't use. Sorry.
Can't say that. No. So okay, Rudy Giuliani. Let me just see if I covered it yesterday. He claimed he already debunked claims of voter fraud, baseless allegations of corrupted, hackable voting machines, election interference by foreign communists, even a reference to Antifa, and he also offered alternative election results for swing states and argued the president has a viable path to a second term. And then he said, "I know crimes, I can smell them," which could have been hair dye, what he smells, but I don't. But he said, "I can prove it to you 18 different ways. I can prove it to you." He won Pennsylvania by 300,000 votes, Michigan by 50,000 votes. Okay, so there's nothing. What do you lawyers call it? Evidence? I mean, Tucker Carlson called out Sidney Powell last night and said, she's offered no evidence. We asked for any. I mean, Fox News is begging, like, please, we want this to be true. And there's no evidence, right? I mean, how do you...
1 and 32. 1 and 30, and the 1 is pretty threadbare. That's their record in court. They get thrown out continually. By the way, no evidence. Yes, that's true. No evidence. No claim. There's with very few exceptions, not even a claim that were it true on Venus somewhere would change the election.
He said
it's all a complete hijacking of the country. It's
Rudy promised major suits in Georgia and Arizona. Georgia was just going to certify today, who's finished their hand recount.
Today, yeah.
Yes. He said they're looking at New Mexico as well, promised hundreds of affidavits, but said he couldn't show them to reporters because, of course, not. Yeah.
But by the way, Steph, that is the other thing. All this legal stuff has no connection to the certification process. It really is just PR. They need somehow a court to stop the linebackers there. And until they do, this just keeps marching on. They're vaguely hoping they can just gum up the works, but it's different works. The certification process is on its own track now.
Well, right.
And that's what will trigger it.
Sidney Powell trotted. Okay, so it was a conspiracy theory that included Communist Party, Antifa, George Soros, the deceased Hugo Chavez, and the Clinton Foundation.
Wasn't the Chavez thing great?
Yeah, that was fantastic. Okay, she said international leftists changed 7 million votes across the country via Dominion election software. A claim that's already been debunked several times. But didn't she say it inadvertently, Harry, on, what was it, Fox Business to Lou Dobbs? They're not even pretending it's a case. They're saying those swing states need to just give the electoral votes to Trump because this, because fraud. And so they need to but that's what we're at, right? There are Michigan legislators that have flown to D.C. today at Donald Trump's, I don't even request, order, to tell them to do this.
He's been calling them to lobby them personally.
Is that a crime? Is that a crime? Is that a crime right there? Him calling? Right, like Lindsey Graham calling it. Is that election fraud?
Oh, Lindsey Graham.
No, Lindsey Graham and the president calling.
Yeah, I had Norm Ornstein I had a talk with him on this, and he thinks maybe it is. I think it's perhaps an ethical violation. But what it is the oldest play from the Trump playbook. Once you're wrong, double down again. At this point, my kids will say we're at 16 or maybe 64, but each time, remember, it was just, we just want to make sure the legal votes are counted, but time is running out. And as each claim is debunked, they go to give them the votes now. I mean, the next will be a flat out Napoleonic, let's just grab the scepter and coronate them. Right. There's sort of nothing left. Let's just assassinate Biden in the public square on Martin Luther King Avenue or whatever, on Black Lives Matter Street, and be done with it. they really, eat their instinct, and it works with these 70 million people who are going to be an important part of the political calculus going forward. Just
Yeah.
make it more and
So,
more and
Harry,
more outrageous.
how and when does this end? Are we going all the way to December 14th? Or
Yeah.
is it over today when Georgia certifies? Like, what's the end
Oh,
game
no,
here?
no, no. It's not. I mean, it depends what this is. This black comedy, I mean, it's over shortly it's already over in terms of knowing who the president-elect is to a certainty. But when actually do they pry his claws off or take him out of the bathroom? I wrote something about this
When does
today.
Elvis get taken off the gold toilet? That's all we want to know.
Say that again.
When does Fat Elvis get taken off the gold toilet? That's all we want to know.
Right. I wrote something today about the GSA and what it will take and the sort of tough spot Biden's in. If he tries to sue, there are paths to losing, and then Trump somehow converts that into a right to stay. If he doesn't, it's political pressure and Trump, what would actually get him to say. So I suspect something like this, some kind of sharing of information, but unofficially without the GSA certification.
Right.
When does she sign the papers? December 8th, January 20th. It's really up to the caprice of the petulant brat that Fred Trump didn't paddle hard enough in third grade.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so they just have to go forward as best they can, trying to ignore the sideshow, but it's a pretty big sideshow. We know how it ends, but we're not exactly sure when it ends.
Yeah. Oh, Harry, it is going to be a. You also wrote about the Chris Krebs firing and the Pentagon. I mean, this is going to be the longest. We're at 60 days. It's going to be the longest 60 days of our life, isn't it? And
by the way, I mean, this is stuff we feared already, right? The shredding of documents, the complete ignoring of the Presidential Records Act, the purging of anybody who's not a Trump loyalist. All that stuff was to be worried about. You can't come in. I'm sorry, you're not the apparent president-elect. On my, in the podcast I do, we do sidebars, little side things explaining basic concepts. And we're taping today, and we made a last-minute switch. The guy who opposed Giuliani in court in Philadelphia on Monday, he's going to do the sidebar with a little lecture on what levels of scrutiny are. The thing that Giuliani didn't. So he's going to give a little primer for Giuliani and the country.
You're going to have there will be opacity.
Concept.
There will be opacity on the Talking Feds podcast. There will be opacity.
Yes, there will be some opacity. We think. You mean clear, right?
Yes. No.
Yes.
Rudy. No.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.